Greetings, this is Darksiders. I'm the Eternal Nerd, because it's what I do. I'm going to be doing a 100% playthrough of Darksiders. Along the way, I'm going to be analyzing what I like and what I don't like about the game, and hopefully share a decent amount of my love with the rest of the world out here for this epic game and its 2 sequels and Genesis eventually, and hopefully more Darksiders games to come in the future. Excuse me. Well, Darksiders. We're going to start a new game.
Since the dawn of time, the armies of heaven and hell have waged an endless war. Drawn to the conflict was the Charred Council, an entity bound by ancient laws to preserve order and balance. It held that any great power, unchecked, threatened the very fabric of the universe. In time, heaven and hell came to honor the Council and its laws, for none were beyond the swift and terrible justice of the Council's enforcers, a fearsome brotherhood known as the Four Horsemen. Amid the turmoil, the first humans emerged. The Council foretold that these weak but cunning creatures would someday be integral to the balance. Thus, a third kingdom was named, the Kingdom of Man. By order of the Council, a truce was forged between heaven and hell. The Great Pact was bound by 7 seals, to be broken at the appointed time, when man's kingdom stood ready for the End War, a battle that would bring balance and determine the ultimate fate of the 3 kingdoms.
Sorry, it looks like I've got the... Did this just unintentionally start New Game Plus for me? I mean, it doesn't seem like it. Chaos Eater has the green graphic on it, like I've got an enchantment on the thing, but I don't know why it's... Let's see if it works. So anyway, getting into talking about this game instead of just being perplexed as to why it's not working the way I expected to. One of the first things that like really stands out to me is just how awesome the art is for this game. Oh, I got it. Fuck yes. Yeah, you missed that trophy like a son of a bitch if you can do that. Anyway, the art for this game is just something that speaks to me, man. I can't say exactly why or how or what it is about it, but just perfect for exactly what it is. And, like, one of the things that gets to me is the fact that so much of what everything is very much part of the designs. Like, you'll never have any trouble, like, looking at an angel and going, that's a fucking angel. You're never going to have any trouble looking at a demon and 100% understanding that that's a demon. But then it goes beyond that as well. Like, once we stumble across Vulgrim here in a bit, we're going to see part of that.
What is happening?
He looks like a merchant on the surface, but in part of that, like, yeah, sure, he looks like a merchant, but he also looks like a very specific soul-dealing kind of merchant that Vulgrim exactly is. So much of what this art style is literally bringing to life concepts. And I'd say that the Horsemen themselves are the best example of that, because fucking angels, fuck you. No, I don't want to hurt the demon. But yeah, I believe that's emphasized specifically with the Horsemen more so than anything else. Like, we got war sitting here looking at us, but of course I'm going to basically be talking about all three games, the entirety of what's going on. So, like, we take a look at War here, and his very design screams that he is, in essence, a fucking warrior, meant to wreak havoc and make war. Then you look at Death, and he looks like every concept of Death you've ever seen somehow has a shout out in what he is. Fury's another great example of that. Her hair is always wild and fiery, even if it's not on fire because of the fire hollow. The way she moves, the design that's in her, it's just so much of this art is so good for me. And I'm no art analyst. I just like art. I like looking at the things, and I know what I like when I see it, and I know what I don't like when I see it. And man, this is a whole lot of what I like all right away on the surface. And it's good. The whole game's good. So one of the main things that I have, it was a theory after the first game came out, and then now that the Darksiders 3 has come out, and I've not played Genesis yet, but I will here soon. I have this theory that because these characters, there's more than just the art of like designing the characters that went into trying to personify these characters to make you feel like these characters. Once again, using War as an example, he very much feels like what you'd imagine to be a warrior in almost every single way. And in the instances where he doesn't function like a warrior, say, for instance, his wrath attacks, he has magic. So, you know, typical, stereotypical warrior doesn't have magic attacks. But there's a scene later on, and granted, I don't have any right now, but this is tutorial mode, man. I gotta take some of this with a grain of salt, or, I don't know. At least give it the benefit of the doubt sometimes. But anyway, War has no magic, before he picks up Chaos Eater, which implies that his magic comes directly from his weapon instead of him himself. But then, like, you look at Death for comparison, he's got a full-blown magic bar that he can use as much as often as he wants. It's all about how much energy, or how much wrath he's got left. I believe it's wrath. But it's all about how much wrath he's got left and how much your spells cost. And it's a distinct difference. They didn't have to make that kind of difference between the two characters, but they did. And then you look at Fury, and she can only use her wrath bar when it's full. But her spells are, like, devastatingly more effective than Death's spells are. Don't get me wrong, Death has got some really fucking powerful spells. And I'll get into that once we get the second game. But this theory essentially says that, like, the Darksiders games have been using and borrowing elements from the action-adventure genre to help personify the very horsemen themselves. Like, once again, I'm going to point these out as they come up, but it first struck me after the second game came out that there's a distinct difference between War and Death, and a lot of decisions they made in designing Death that simply didn't need to be changed between him and War. But they did change them, and I think that speaks to what they wanted to do with the game itself. I'm not really waiting on these angels for any reason. I just knew there was a cutscene and I wanted to stop my game before the cutscene started.
happen? The seventh seal was not broken.
Abaddon! What in heaven's name have you done?
I answer the call.
Once again, going to art design, I really like Straga's design. He looks like he's made out of a chapel. Like, super cool for me. I'm not good at dodging this attack. Hopefully ideally, god damn. Ideally, you could beat Straga right there, because I ended up getting to use all but that last car. Every car that he threw, I got to use it twice, and that's ideal. And it's really rare to happen this way.
The law has been broken. And so have you, horseman. Your claims. The seals were broken. I was summoned.
Then where are the other horsemen? Were they not summoned as well? The seven seals are hidden, as they have been since the pact was forged eons ago. All of them intact. There was
When I rode, heaven and hell were already at war. Abaddon was there. He knew something.
Abaddon fell, fighting off the chaos you unleashed.
I fought powerless against the demons, and still you accuse me?
Your defeat proves nothing. Likely the Destroyer cast you aside when he was finished with you. You have defiled the law, Horseman. You will be punished.
I serve only the Council. Only the balance. As the Horsemen always have. Send me back. I will punish the ones responsible.
How? What hope do you have against the Destroyer's army? You are powerless.
Then I will fail. And the demons will have carried out your sentence.
Very well. You will return to the Earth. But you will be released. Come forth.
Remember that, or I will really get under your skin.
Rise, war, and arm yourself.
Okay, so I really love the exchange that Ward just had with the Council. I kind of consider this whole thing that just happened up to this point the character introduction of Ward. And it says a lot about him, like, right off the bat. He comes to Earth, and, like, he's on his mission to do what he needs to do. Yet, along every step that he takes, he's having his power drained from him. Yet he continues trudging forward. He doesn't stop and ponder why his power is being drained. He doesn't... None of that. He just keeps trudging forward and nearly beats Straga as his power has literally been cut in half over the course of that beginning scene. Well, he dies, and you figure out here in a minute, you've been dead for 100 years. War's been dead for 100 years at this point. And when you come back here, now, War is already... Now he's got time to think about it. And he's immediately on the page of, something's not right. I was called, the Council doesn't know what's going on. Send me back, and I will seek those who have done this injustice. And when they're like, why should we let you go? He's like, because if I fail, then the demons will have executed me for you. And it's brutal. The unending, like, determination that shows right off the bat. So, honestly, this is probably one of my favorite character introductions that's ever happened in the beginning of a game. There are other great examples out there, but I feel like this sets you up to already feel like this avatar of a concept more so than a person. But it already starts to humanize this person for you, to relate to him. beyond the fact that he's just really cool. I would like to note that as far as the base design is concerned, War is more armored than anybody else. You could say Strife technically has more armor on him, because he is completely covered, but it's thin armor. Like, you can tell that he's not, like look at him feet. He's rocking some armored goddamn boots. And he's got a gauntlet on him that's, like, the armor difference between the horsemen tells you that this one's the warrior. And my wrath bar just showed up after picking up Chaos Eater. This once again furthers my point that every design choice that was picked was meant to make you feel like a warrior. I'll get into how the spells play into the spells that he does have play into that, because overall War's got really simple spells and very warrior-esque spells. Yep.
The souls of the dead will be your currency. Some enemies are more easily bought than killed.
Souls as a currency is just cool. There's not much else to be said about that.
Seek the demon Vulgrim. Few can afford his services, but perhaps you can strike a bargain.
The Council confers with demons now, does it?
Since the truce was broken, some demons have fallen from the Destroyer's favor. Vulgrim is one such outcast. He has long sought an audience with us.
How long have I been here?
Looks like our trajectory was a little off. Not so fast, horseman. Let's lay down a few ground rules. Until this is over, you're a dog on a leash. I say bark, you bark. And if I have to kick you, you'd better not bare your teeth. Understand? Or should I teach you to play dead? Good boy.
Okay, so I'm hitting the 30-minute mark. I think I'm gonna do 30-minute chunks instead of hour-long chunks. Hey, the effect is still on the sword. I wonder if... Nope. Oh. That's glitch number 1 for the run. Previous playthrough enchantment effect still on the sword. Not mechanically, but visually. So anyway, what I was going to say is that, once again, great characterization here. The first scene you get with they could have introduced the Watcher alongside the Council, but they didn't. They intentionally introduced the Watcher here because they want you to hate the Watcher, and I think this was a great call because we hate every companion. Like, when this game came out, there was not one example of a companion character that was, like, unanimously liked, even. believe Resident Evil 4 came out before this. Don't quote me on that. But we all hate Ashley from Resident Evil 4. We all hated Navi. She was super annoying. Even Tattle from Majora's Mask wasn't great. Man, there was one more companion character I had from this era off the top of my head. But regardless, they intentionally built and introduced the Watcher in a way where you knew you were going to hate him, or they knew you were going to hate him right off the bat, so they leaned into it and made it so that you want to hate him, and therefore made a better companion character because of that. More something that I'm probably going to elaborate on and think about more later, but definitely a point I wanted to make here is they started off right out of the gate. They want you to hate him, and you already kind of do. On that note, I'm going to end this stream. If you happen to stumble across this video later and enjoyed it and watched it and might just enjoy Darksiders as much as I do, or haven't played the game before, I'm going to be talking about it the whole way through. I'm trying to avoid talking during cutscenes, but I am kind of an idiot. Regardless, thanks for watching if you did. If not, this video's more for me than anybody else anyway. So